Take it away, Joe.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Synergy Community Power 30. That's right. We bring you the power in 30 minutes. And this morning, I have the privilege of having the most awesome guest I could ever hope for. Our very own rock star recruiting leader, Tamara Tyrbouslu. Tamara, how are you this morning?
Fantabulous. How are you doing, Joe D?
Loving life. I was looking at this weekend, scrolling back through Facebook pictures that over years, like you ever go to your own photos?
Yes.
And I just spent time scrolling, and Shannon and I were sipping some wine and laughing and just going, holy cow, we live a rock star lifestyle. We like so epic. So
absolutely. Yes, you definitely do. Wonderful.
And you embody that as well as your good, clean, healthy, spiritual, grateful, giving side. So this morning we're gonna get right into this. Normally we spend a little time talking about who you are and what you do, but I think most people know who you are, and if they don't, they're gonna figure it out as we get into this conversation. I want to start right out of the gate and hit them hard. Okay, you are by far the rock star in the Synergy community as far as attracting agents into the Synergy community, recruiting, enrolling, whatever words we want to use here. I want to start off with, I understand that you leverage a lot of what Synergy has to offer. So a very pointed question of how do you do that? What are you doing to leverage all the awesomeness that's available and getting it out to potential recruits?
Absolutely. So I definitely want to dive right into that. And you also started with the key point first, which is that fascination factor. You know, the attraction factor is, of course, to be attractive yourself. And you have established that. And that's definitely how you were able to attract me in. And then I follow that formula as well to attract folks in myself. So I'll go into that a little bit later, but I know that we wanted to get right into the literal tools of how do I leverage Synergy communities, tools and resources. So that, because I really believe that you should systemize and automate what is duplicatable, because that's not the highest and best use of your life energy. Energy is so important. Everything is about energy and frequency. And in order for me to keep my energy up and do all of the fun stuff that I'm able to do, I do leverage what Synergy community already has. And every week we have I call it the Zoom at noon, because that works for me, is the Zoom at noon on Tuesday. And so the way that I do this is I have created an email template that I then customize. So systemize and automate what's duplicatable, and then customize connection points. So I don't send that same exact email out to everyone. What I do is I copy and paste it, and then I customize it to that particular person. So it doesn't look, of course, like an automated email, but 90% of that is the same email, because why would I write the same thing over and over again, right?
And that's absolute brilliance on your part, because the meat and potatoes of most of our communication, and this works, by the way, exactly the same with buyers, with sellers, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, so this is not like, holy cow, like this is the only place you can use it. You can use this approach on everything. And what I really appreciate is you taking the time to customize it so that if I received it, I would know that you're sending it to me, not just, oh, this went to 500 people today.
Exactly. Yeah, because that's super important, because at the end of the day, we're all people, and you're connecting with actual people. So I have a saved email, and it literally says, hey, if it's somebody who's brand new in the business, hey, would love for you to check out EXP and particularly the Synergy community. And so the first thing that I'd like for them to do is to watch the Brent Gove video, because that explains the EXP business model. And so it's a very simple email where it says, watch this video first. This will explain the EXP business model and how we're evolutionizing the real estate industry worldwide. So it's a simple sentence, and it puts it in the context of why you want to watch this video and what's so amazing about EXP. The second thing is, then I'd love for you to attend the Zoom at noon with one of my business partners, Cody, and then you'll learn about the Synergy community and why you want to join with us specifically. And so then that highlights the Synergy community. And if they're new, then I'll go into the third part is then my mentoring program and what makes it different than other mentoring programs. And so that would be with a new agent, with somebody who's already in the business. I am saying, hey, you know, we're always looking out for amazing talent like you. And then, you know, I'd specifically highlight what they would get from Synergy and EXP, and then what they would contribute to. Because usually people that are in the industry are also looking to make a big difference too. And so it's a two-way, like they are really looking for purpose as well as, you know, to extract something as well. So
now let's give some social proof. Okay. You've been with the Synergy community and EXP for how long now?
it's been, I think it's 3 years now. 3 years.
Yeah. Okay.
Love it. Yes.
And how many direct recruits do you have?
I have over 50. So even though I actually do put people under other people.
Hold on, time
Yes.
out, stop.
Yes.
Over 50 direct recruits, because you said that like that was no big deal.
Yes.
Okay. So first of all,
thank you.
I'm thanking you for me, because you're awesome. And because of your efforts, I get checks that I don't even know about. Yeah. So, all right, keep going. I know I interrupted you, but bravo, 50, that's legit. That's, you know, on a global scale in terms of downline level ones, that puts you in the fraction of the top 1%, not just in the top 1%. You know, you got to break that into little bits and pieces to get to where you are. So.
Right. I appreciate it. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. So I do a portion that's really systemized, and then the part that's customized is, well, of course, then I make sure that I get onto the lunch. I don't always get there on time, and I'm not there every time. However, I do recommend that when you do have people that are invited, that you get on that Zoom at noon on Tuesdays. And thank you, Cody, for doing it in the evening. So if they can't make it on the Tuesday at 12, then he'll do an alternative time for you. And so I appreciate him for being available at different times as well. Ideally, you would direct them. If they really want to come, they're going to, you know, make time in their schedule to come on that Tuesday. If they're working already, you know, during the day, they might have to make a different time. And so then I will hop in, you know, usually sometimes like halfway through, because I'm mentoring at that time. And then I make sure I connect with each person individually. So I'll send a private message. Hey, I'm so glad that you showed up. And so that they see that I see that they're there. And Cody does an amazing job with that Zoom. He covers so much information in 1 hour. And I found that if they've watched the Brent Go video first, and Brent is more of like a motivational, you know, big picture kind of person and brings a lot of enthusiasm. And then Cody gets down into the specifics, and he has the spreadsheet, and it's a good balance of the two. So between those two, it sells to different personality styles. And so pretty much everybody can be captured between those two. They're pretty much sold. So I don't really have to sell EXP, and I don't have to sell Synergy. And I am sold on Synergy and EXP myself. So there's some pre-work to doing all of this. One is the energy, the frequency, that you have to vibe at the frequency of the people that you're looking to attract. The other is that you have to be sold yourself. Like I am 100% sold on EXP. I'm 100% sold on Synergy. There is nothing like this anywhere else. 24 years in the business. This is the best place to be. And
you're proof positive
with
your resume and your industry experience. So, all right. So I'm going to back up just for a second, because I hear you on the systemized approach. I hear you on customizing the emails and things like that, so that it makes it so that you're speaking to me. I'm saying me as a potential recruit. Right. I get how you're using Cody, how you're leveraging Brent Gove and his video, but I want to back it up into you meet somebody. Right? I mean, this is where it all starts. And it doesn't matter where you meet them, right? But you meet an agent, and that's what we're talking about. We're talking about attracting real estate agents. So how do you broach this subject? How do you kind of bring this up?
Yeah, so this does go back to being the pre-work of the frequency of being an energetic match, that frequency and fascination. And so when you're having that initial conversation, if you're doing, well in your business and things are going really well, then people want to know what you're up to, right? And so I would have a description, and I do have a description of my ideal agent, just like I have a description of my ideal buyer and seller. And so have a description of your ideal agent that you would love to have in your organization. And then where is that ideal agent? And then make sure you have connection times with them. So like having that conversation. So maybe it's at an open house, right? And so you're having a conversation with them and you're sharing, how you're doing with business and so forth. I would ask them questions about their business. And you're really good at this, is asking what's important to other people, right? And what are they creating? What are they passionate about? And in that conversation, you're going to tease out what is important to them. And you're going to be the answer essentially to what is important to them, whether it's a pain point or a pleasure point. It could be that they're looking to mentor and there's not a mentor opportunity for them in their brokerage. And we have an opportunity for them here. It could be a pain point where, they don't have, like, we have our stock options and our equity programs. And so, oh yeah, here you go. And so looking for those opportunities where we can meet something for them, and then make sure that you are essentially taking control of the process from there, because sometimes people allow others to get sucked into I want to meet tomorrow for lunch. Okay, well, I don't have time to meet for lunch, although I would love to. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you an email and watch this video. We're going to hop on a Zoom at noon. And then now, if they've gone through those hoops, absolutely, I'll go to lunch with them. If they're not going to go through those hoops, then I don't have the time to do that.
This is the epitome of a professional right here, this conversation, right? So you're not allowing the prospect, and again, you can swap out the word recruiting an agent for buyer, for seller. You can swap out those words, because this is about you having a system and a process that you are following, that you control.
Yes.
Right? And absolutely. So you meet them, you make the connection. By the way, I love the ideal agent conversation, right? Write down who's your ideal, who do you want to attract? And for everybody that's watching this video, if you don't have that for your buyers, for your sellers, your referral partners, things that you're going to be doing business with, I guarantee you're going to have frustration in your business. And I did this exercise, like Mike Ferry had told me to do this like 20 something years ago. And he's like, if you don't write down who you're ideally looking for, you're going to get frustrated, because you're just going to get the wrong kind of people coming at you. But when the right person's there, right? So for me, I'll take it on a home seller standpoint. It's somebody that's going to listen to my advice.
Exactly.
Like as simple as that. Now, so for you, when you're talking about an ideal agent, the energy, they're enthusiastic, it's not a drain on who you are, right?
Correct.
When you're connecting with them, their energy is fulfilling your energy, and vice versa. You guys are lifting each other up. So I just really wanted to pause and acknowledge that. And I love the fact that you take them right back through your process and say, great, I'd love to meet with you. Here's what we need to do, and have them go through. By the way, guys, this is the same thing with working with a buyer. They want to run out and look at homes. Have they talked to your lender? Have they come into the office and met with you? We used to say all the time, just get them to come in the office. If they're willing to drive to your office to meet with you, you got a good chance of keeping them. Same thing with you on recruiting an agent, is if they're willing to listen to Brent, hang out with Cody on a Zoom, now they're a little bit more educated, and you're not doing all the heavy lifting, trying to explain everything about EXP. I love it.
Absolutely. Yes. And so then they get closer and closer. Then I'll invite them to one of my trainings, or an event that we're having. So Power 30 is a good example, inviting them on a Power 30, or one of, we had our summit or Friday in the field. And so, even a broker open, inviting them to that. Jay is a good example. She came to a broker open and she asked, well, what am I going to get out of Synergy and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, you're here among a bunch of Synergy agents. I'll have them answer. And they answered her, and then she was sold and part of the community. And so, so as people come closer, then they get my time, because then they become part of the community. Then I'm invested my time in them.
Well, and that is really a very limited resource, right? Time.
Yes.
Right. And so
Absolutely.
being a good manager of time allows you to be much more effective of everything that you're doing versus, there's some people I jokingly would say, and I mean it, you want something done, give it to a busy person.
Yes.
Because they will literally just get it knocked out. They're like, it's going to be over with because they're not going to screw around with it. So you are absolutely a busy person with all the traveling, all the educational stuff, everything that you're involved in. Yeah, there's no question.
Yes.
All right. So we've got the welcome them, connect energetically. We've got a system, we got a process, we move them through that. Let's talk about the conversation. They've gone through the different steps, the video, the Cody, maybe meet some people in the community. I don't want to call it a big close, but the natural ending to any presentation is a close, right?
Yes.
And so what's your approach to how you're going to get somebody on board? What's that push them over? Let's go, let's move forward.
So ideally they close themselves. And so, so
it happens on a great presentation.
Yeah.
Right?
So most of the time they're just like, okay, what's next? What's next? So I know that I've done a good job getting them through the whole process. If they're just like, okay, what's the next step? Sometimes there's still some challenge, that they are trying to wrap their head around. Maybe they're concerned that I'm not going to be available enough for them, or, so there's some holdout for them. And so I will just, ask what, you're really good at this one, what is it going to take, to bring you on board? What's holding you back?
Let's talk about what the real concern is.
Yeah, exactly.
What I love what you said there though, because that's very be honest, is people will look and say, are you going to have enough time for me? Because you got a lot going on. So I would say for people listening to this call, that might be something that a prospect that they're speaking to, a potential agent, would be concerned about. But the other one that there can be concerned about is, where can I get help? Right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I get it. You're one line of defense, right? I can go to you if I'm in your upline, I can come to you, but that may not be the answer for everybody, right?
Right.
So let's say one of your recruits brings somebody in.
Right.
Maybe they're not as experienced as you are. What do you recommend to them in terms of how they could answer that question?
Yeah, and they definitely do. And this is where I believe attending Cody's Zoom at noon, I would say at least 5 times is going to be helpful, because you will understand the tools that are available enough to relay them, because hearing them once is not enough. We have so many resources available. We have more resources available between Synergy and EXP than people will ever need. And just within between our 2 brokers of EXP that are in the South, they have things every single day. So if we took Synergy Community aside, which has amazing resources, there's still a lot of support within EXP itself. And so to become familiar with all of the tools and the resources, it's an investment of time to understand them, even if you're not using them.
Okay.
And it's worth it to know what those tools and resources are, so that you could relay them to somebody.
I love what you said about attending it 5 times there too, because that helps. You got to hear it over and over and over and over again to really have it penetrate in a way that now you can own that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Listening to a favorite song, right? You might not hear it 20 years later, you still know the lyrics because you listen to it enough, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And then also you can lean into somebody who's in your upline. So anyone could say, hey, watch the Brent Go video, go to the Zoom at noon, and then and then we can hop on a call with, Tamara or, Jody or whatever. And I would be open to doing that, of course, if they've jumped through the other hoops already.
So you put together a pretty amazing summit that we had a month or so ago. Do you bring up the summits and the other events? Like we got the Top Gun movie night coming up in a couple of weeks. These are all community-based things that can connect with. Number one, for you as an individual agent in the Synergy community, to not keep yourself hidden out on an island, right? Because sometimes, we can get stuck in that. We're just doing our job. But there's a lot of good that comes with being surrounded with other like-minded people, like you said in the beginning, that energetic alignment. So two, what do you leverage? What else do you leverage once they're in the organization, once they're in EXP?
Yeah, so I explained that Synergy is like their family. And so to think of Synergy as a family, and if you need support, if you need a referral for anything, that WhatsApp is just such a helpful tool that you can go there. And then we also, of course, have events. We have social events and we have educational events, and that you're always going to have somebody that you can go to for support. And so the reminder that we're there. So, and I do connect people on that initial email that I send out. I do let them know to get an experience of our culture, to put a link to our Facebook group there. And I also put a link to our YouTube channel.
I love that.
Yeah, so that they can see. And for me, when I was enrolled into EXP, what helped me like kind of seal the deal, well, you and I spent time together. So I did the lunch, of course, with you and Cody, and that opened it up. And I had, for 5 years, people have been trying to get me into EXP with no luck. But I was kind of blindsided into the lunch and learn, and had to listen because of course, I arrived
not by
late.
us. You weren't blind.
Yeah, no, not by them
Somebody
either.
else.
So that shows you about energetic alignment, because there was no way I was going to enroll with that guy.
Yeah.
But then you guys are aligned with me, and so at least it opened me up to listen. And then Joe follow up, so important, follow up and follow through. And then we had a good conversation about what my obstacles were. And you did a little customization, which I love. I still have this, like the little connection point of customization. And let me grab a little water here.
Yeah. It looks like wine to me. I don't know, but go ahead.
Bourbon. I'm hooked on bourbon now.
Oh, that's great. I mean, yeah, it's 10:30. You're good.
Yeah. And so where was I going with this now about the Synergy community? But
no, just I like how you're using it as a resource, right? Again, not people out on an island. And you had called me a couple of weeks ago about an opportunity that another agent had to list a horse farm, right? And so we've got people in here that are commercial experts, right? That they can help agents that, you may not otherwise have an opportunity to do that, but in the community, there are people that can help with that. There are people in the community that will buy fixer-uppers from you. So if you have a client that wants to sell and they're thinking about going to, one of the online.com, buy my house, and you're out of the picture. No, you've got investors here that you'll get paid, right? So there's a lot of leverage points in here that could be used.
There are so many leverage points. So we are a collective, and this is how I describe it to people in that email that I send out, is we are a collective of independent agents and teams who co-empower each other. And that's what it is a family that co-empowers each other. And so there are so many resources. Absolutely. It's a shared economy, and I love it.
That's we talk about the share economy concept. It's in many hands makes light work, right?
Absolutely.
So leverage in. Don't feel like you have to be out on your own. We expect that now we'll see a lot of people showing up with Zoom with noon with Cody. All right, so we have a couple minutes left. I've kind of been guiding this conversation. It's very specific points that I know I wanted to hear from you. I'm going to open it up a little bit for you. Is there anything that you've been wanting to talk about that maybe we haven't brought up yet?
Ooh, I think that we caught everything. The systemizing, the frequency. Yep, I think so.
Okay,
So let
good.
me just add a comment here if I could.
Cody, good. Jump in.
Yes.
Yeah, so what I'm being reminded of as I sit here listening to Tamara is this concept of synergy that we have all created together is so unique. It provides such an opportunity for agents. It's quite miraculous. And Tamara wakes up every morning realizing that and never forgets.
Yes.
I sometimes forget. It becomes commonplace. I get used to it. Every day it's a new day for Tamara to be excited about synergy and what it offers for agents. I think that's one of the biggest keys to recruitment, because it really is truly something different from anywhere else.
Absolutely. Without a doubt. Yes, definitely.
The other thing that I noticed here that I think is worth mentioning again is that this is definitely a process for Tamara. She does this a little bit at a time. This is a lot for somebody to absorb all in one sitting. You have to give it to them in bite-sized chunks and let it absorb slowly. And you have to be involved personally every step along the way with that. Use the resources, throw them into the Zoom call. But as soon as that call's over, Tamara takes that agent and makes sure that he or she is getting the questions answered that they need, or whatever the next step might be.
Yeah, get them a guest pass. Like I said, leverage other people too. So leverage your downline, your organization.
So what I saw in the chat earlier, and I'm thinking this might not be a bad idea, is that we might want to put together a little bullet thing, a list of bullet things that, here's Tamara's, top tips for attracting, and we can make that available to the Synergy community. And you don't have to give like the full length of every email or anything like that, but just
a sample. I'm happy to do that.
Here's the concept. And then this step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, because I think for a lot of people that once they have a system, it's easy to follow. It's oftentimes creating the system that becomes a little bit of a challenge.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, fabulous. So any parting thoughts as we embark off on the rest of our day? Tamara?
Yes. Well, so I did remember my thought that I was going towards, which was the customized part of it. What sealed the deal for me was that Power 30 that you invited the gentleman who was in Puerto Rico on to. And I really related to him. And so even though it was another kind of automated event, you invited me into a synergy event where I could really see myself within the community flourishing. And so just keep inviting people. So a little bit at a time, the Zoom, maybe a one-on-one lunch, and then a Power 30, an event, a summit. Just keep at it. It might take a couple of months or so, maybe even years for some people. Eventually they'll come.
Well, and to your point on that is there is a noticeable shift in the real estate market. It's not crumbling, it's not falling apart, but things are slowing down. It's going to get harder. So what an ideal time, not only for yourself to create income in another fashion, but also to throw a lifeline out to somebody else that doesn't have this as an option, that they can too engage in a company that's going to give them multiple opportunities to thereby earn income when commission checks might be getting a little bit more difficult for some people. So
absolutely.
Outstanding.
Yes.
Well, as always, you did not disappoint.
Much love to everyone.
You are fabulous.
Yay.
For everybody. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you watching this on recording, I know right now you're going to get up and you're going to go, oh, I'm not going to miss another Power 30.
Cheers. Great job, Tamara.
Thank you.
Wonderful. You are an inspiration, Tamara. Thank you.
Oh, ditto. Wonderful.
Have a fabulous day, everybody.
Thank you so much, Tamara.
Thank you.
You guys have a great day.
Yeah, definitely unmute yourselves and say goodbye. Ciao. À la prochaine.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Miss
Bye.
Tamara.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tamara.
Ella.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tamara.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks, Joe.
Hey, Rick.